Okay, well, welcome and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk about building your target list of schools. And to get started, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Mia Hall, and I'm a customer success manager here at SportsRecruits. A little background on me, I played lacrosse collegiately at Millersville University and was a former Division II women's lacrosse head coach for over 10 years. In addition to that, I've been the director of a girls lacrosse program for the past 7 years. So for me, I always love talking about best recruiting practices. And I'm really excited to be with you guys tonight to talk about building out your target list of schools on the Sports Recruits platform. So, for the agenda tonight, first, we're going to talk about the important factors to help determine the right college fit for you guys. Next, I'm going to talk about how using the Sports Recruits school search tool, which is available to all of you on all of your Sport Recruit accounts, can help you build out your list even further. And then I'm going to go into how you can best analyze where you stand in the recruiting process. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A session at the end to answer any of your questions that you may have. Also, during this presentation, if you do have questions, please send them in the Q&A box. And then again, during the Q&A session, I'll be able to take a look at those guys. And then as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, and just by registering tonight, you all are going to receive a copy of this the next day, which would be really useful if you want to rewatch it. Additionally, you'll also be able to find this webinar recording and any of our upcoming webinars on our webinar landing page. So you can, again, register for any of our upcoming webinars and then watch any of the ones that we've put on in the past. Okay, so, let's jump right in. Let's talk about something really important, finding the right college fit. So we often say here at Sports Recruits that choosing a college isn't just a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision. And I think, while that may sound pretty intimidating, it's definitely true. The college that you're going to choose will have a lasting impact on your life, both professionally and personally. So because this is such a significant decision, it's crucial to understand all the factors involved in building out the best target list of schools so that hopefully you can make the best choice for you when you get to that place. So, I think to help determine if a school is the right fit for you, tonight we're going to walk through, 5 key categories that you should consider when you are building those lists. So I think, it's really important to understand that, focusing just on one of these areas for sure is not enough. College is about so much more than just your sport. You want to make sure you have a holistic experience and you find a place where you can thrive in all aspects of your life. So as you start building this list, I want you guys to think about asking yourself questions about, each goal. Is it a good academic fit? Is it a good athletic fit? Is it a good geographic fit? And is it a good social fit? And then crucially, is it a good financial fit for you and your family? Ultimately, as you get closer to making your final decision, if you guys can confidently check off 4 or 5 of these boxes that I just talked about, then you've likely found a great fit or at least a good school to put on your list so that when you get at the end of it, you find a really solid place that you can truly succeed and enjoy your college experience at. So, let's start out by just talking about the academic fit, which is such a crucial piece of the college puzzle. You are going to be a student first and then an athlete second. So finding the right academic environment is super essential. I think when you're examining schools for your target list, start by confirming that they offer the major or majors that you're potentially interested in. Seriously, guys, just don't assume that they have the major. Make sure and double check that they do. And then I think also there's probably a lot of you here tonight who have no idea what you want to major in. Don't sweat it. So many students are in that exact same boat. I, a really long time ago, was also in that same boat. And that's why for me, I think what you guys need to keep in mind is, I chose a school that, had a strong emphasis on the arts, where I had to take a bunch of prereqs, which helped me to determine if I liked a certain major or if I didn't before I had to really dive into it. So I think, definitely keep that in mind. If you really have no clue what you want to major in, look at a lot of like liberal arts major or liberal arts colleges that have a variety of majors that could pique your interest in. I also think, next you want to definitely research too your grades and standardized test scores if you have them available now, and make sure that they align with the school's academic standards. Um, be realistic about your academic profile and how it compares to the average admitted student at that school. Definitely look at that. And then finally, leverage your academic support system. That's going to be important too. Talk to your guidance counselor, your college counselor, or your teachers. They definitely know your academic strengths and they for sure can offer you insights into which schools might be the best academic fit for you as you're going through this. So now let's talk about the athletic fit, finding the right place to compete. So when you're building your target list of schools from the athletic perspective, I think the first question that you should absolutely ask yourself is if this school is a realistic option for you athletically. So what I tell my kids in the club is, have athletes from your club or your high school or your team gone on to compete at this school or in this conference? I think this is a good benchmark question to ask yourself if you think, a program might be a good athletic fit for you. And then another thing that I think you absolutely should do is, lean on your athletic advocates when you're trying to find schools that are a good athletic fit for you. So your coaches, your trainers, your recruiting coordinators. Those people are going to have valuable insights into your athletic abilities and can offer, I think, the best advice and expert advice on which programs might be a good athletic fit for you when you're building out your list. Now let's talk about geographic fit, where you'll actually spend a lot of time for the next 4 years. So, when you're building out your target list, it's important to consider how far away from home do you want to be? Are you looking for a close to home option or are you ready for an adventure in a new state? I think you need to think about what your ideal climate is. Do you prefer warm weather or do you like snowy winters? I also think you guys should be thinking about, whether having family or friends nearby are important to you. I mean, are you okay with going across the country and going to school and getting on a plane to do that? Or do you want to stay closer to home so that your family and friends can attend any of your matches or games? All things to consider when you are building out your list. And I definitely think, geographic factors can significantly impact your overall college experience. And for sure should definitely be something that you consider when you are looking at schools and building out your target list. Okay, so next let's talk about the social fit. So that means, finding your place outside of the classroom and the athletic field. I think you guys need to think about the kind of college environment where you're going to thrive. Do you prefer, the energy of a large university with tons of clubs and activities? Or do you think you'd be more comfortable in a smaller, close-knit community? Definitely things to consider. Another thing to consider is if, Greek life is important to you or if it's not a priority. If Another thing too, I tell my kids is, if you want to study abroad, is that something that you can do? Do the schools that you're looking at, do they have a program like that? And if they do, does it align with your academic and athletic schedule? All things to consider for sure when you're looking at, that social fit. And then I also think, you should definitely try and find out as well, what the living and meal accommodations are at at these particular programs that you're looking at. So how long are you required to live on campus? What are the meal packages like? So these social factors just as a whole play a huge role in your overall college happiness, and definitely, an aspect that you should consider when you're building out your list. And then finally, and crucially, let's talk about the financial fit. This, for sure, guys, is a family discussion. I think, be realistic about what you can afford. College costs are eye-opening. And I think it's also, not just the tuition piece that you should be looking at. You got to factor in room and board, books and fees, personal expenses to go to some of these colleges. So, and for each one of them, it's going to vary significantly between the schools. So for sure, research before you get super attached to a particular school or program. I also think, it's important to make sure that you're looking at in-state tuition costs versus out-of-state tuition costs too, when you're looking at everything. And it's also, important to look at, financially, if you're going to be able to, maybe be eligible for a merit-based or athletic scholarship as well. Scholarships can make a huge difference. Just to break it down for you guys too. So merit-based scholarships are awarded based on academic achievement, while athletic scholarships are based off of athletic ability. So research what each college offers and what you might qualify for. I also think you should be aware that if you are receiving an athletic scholarship, or are thinking about that you might, athletic scholarships are not always full rides. They usually just cover a percentage of the cost, so something to keep in mind as well. And then lastly, I think you need to also consider if you may be eligible for FAFSA. So FAFSA is going to use your family's financial information to calculate your expected family contribution, or your EFC. So this number that kind of gets pulled out will help determine your eligibility for need-based aid if you qualify. So with FAFSA, you'll definitely want to file as early as possible if you want to go that route. The application for FAFSA always opens October 1st each year, but deadlines vary by state and college. So you want to make sure, again, you don't wait super long to file if you would like to go that route. So I think, just at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're having open conversations about finances, and definitely doing your research. If you do that, it will allow you to definitely create a target list of colleges that are both, good academic, athletic, and financial fits for your family. So just to give you a recap, these 5 categories: academic, athletic, geographic, social, financial fit, are essential to consider when you're building out your target list. I can't emphasize enough, please don't just focus in on athletics. I've seen it countless times as a director and even as a former college coach, athletes who just get fixated on the athletic piece, and they forget that, college is about the whole experience. For me, I always advise my athletes when building out their list of schools to think about what I call the broken foot test. So if you couldn't play your sport anymore, would you still be happy at this school? I think if the answer is yes, and it checks off the other fit boxes that we just talked about, you're definitely on your right track. So for sure, a holistic approach is going to ensure that you'll choose a college, hopefully at the end, that you're going to thrive at all the way around. Okay, so now let's dive into how easy it is to build your target list right here on SportsRecruits using our powerful school search tool. So whether you guys are free users on the platform or a paid user, club user, everyone has access to this tool on the platform. So when you guys are logged in, to get to the tool, you'll just simply need to click on the school icon at the top right of your profile page, and it will take you right there. So once you're in the school search tool, you'll see that it's going to unlock a vast database of basically every college program across the country and even into like Canada. So no more, scattered searches across, different websites. It's all right here in one convenient location, which is going to save you a ton of time and effort in the long and the end. Um, and now, I think also when you're in there, now the key is, building a good target list and making sure that you have focus when you do so. So you don't want to get super overwhelmed by the hundreds or thousands of schools that you may first see when you get into that page. I think now this is where our powerful filters are going to come into play. So with those filters, use them to narrow your options down based on your specific criteria that's important to you. So is academic selectivity something that's important to you? You can filter for that. Do you have a specific major in mind? You can filter for that. What about an athletic conference or division? You can put a filter on for that as well. So whatever matters most to you, you can use, again, these filters to help you refine that search and find a school that aligns with your goals. I also think, again, it's, I need you guys to remember a holistic approach is going to be crucial when you're doing this. So in the tool, for sure, use the academic filters to find schools that offer your major or have the academic rigor that you're looking for. You can, also consider geographic filters to, narrow down your search. So again, a well-rounded college experience is about so much more than just going to the athletic filter and putting that in. Definitely, select other filters along the way to help you discover some schools to put on your list. So once you've identified these potential schools, right, it's going to populate with a new list. And now there's time, and it's going to be time for you to dig deeper into each one of these schools that have now populated. So in the platform for each school, you'll be able to view their dedicated school profile page, which is going to be packed with essential academic and athletic information for you to uncover. So here you can learn about who's on their coaching staff, the conference and division that they're in, the school's admissions rate, the majors that they offer, their tuition cost, enrollment size, and so much more right from the platform without ever having to leave. I think too, as you use the school search tool and explore these school profiles, that's where then you can start to add these schools that seem to be a good fit to your target list, again, right here, by just simply clicking that heart icon that's going to show up on these program pages. So it just really streamlines everything. It keeps everything organized in one place. And it also makes it really easy for you to track your progress and also compare schools and different options when you are building your list as well. Another game-changing filter available in the school search tab is our roster needs filter. So roster needs are essentially the open slots that college coaches are trying to fill on their roster for upcoming years. So you want to think about this as this is the college coach's wish list, the specific types of athletes and positions that they are recruiting for. Roster needs are published and maintained directly by the college coaches themselves, right here on SportsRecruits. So this means that you're getting information straight from the source. It's for sure the most up-to-date view of a college coach's recruiting priorities for that particular grad year, which is pretty cool. At a minimum, roster needs will specifically, and they'll, I'm sorry, at a minimum, roster needs will specify the athletic position that a college coach is looking for to fill in that class year that they're targeting. So for example, when you're in there, you might, see a need for a 2025 catcher or a 2026 outside hitter. So you'll be able to see that simply from the position and grad year. But also, college coaches may also provide a little bit more detail than just the position and class year for what they're looking for sometimes. So for instance, they may specify that athletes must have video on their profile, or that they need a certain GPA, or that they must meet like a certain athletic benchmark, like a 40-yard dash time. So they can put in additional criteria for those roster needs. I think, for them, those additional requirements help the coaches quickly identify athletes who are going to be a good fit for their program on their side of the platform, which is pretty nice for them as well. But, just as a whole, understanding roster needs gives you guys a huge advantage because it allows you to target your recruiting efforts a little bit more effectively. So instead of you guys just like blindly contacting coaches, you can now, with any of those needs that are published, focus on programs who are actively recruiting for your position and your class year. And then if you meet any of the additional requirements that they're listing, even better. So it just means that you'll stand out from the crowd, and it shows the college coaches too that you're exactly the type of athlete that, they're looking for, which is pretty nice. Okay, so you've used the search filters, you've explored school profiles, and now you've found some schools that definitely look promising. It's time to start building out your actual target list of schools. Again, Sports Recruits makes this incredibly easy for you guys. So as you explore the school profiles, simply click, like I said before, on that favorite button, and it's that simple to add them to your favorites list. You also can discover schools and favorite them from your activity feed, from your school search results that we just talked about, and again, from that school profile page. So again, there's no more copying and pasting links or like jotting down notes and on like scraps of paper. You basically have everything right inside of the platform, and it will store all your favorites in one place for you, which is pretty cool. I also think, what's really cool about the platform is that it doesn't just save your favorites, but it also allows you now to organize them. Your target list now then can become like a central hub for tracking your recruiting process for any one of these programs. So when you guys are in your favorites list, you can categorize them as either fit, reach, or safety schools. So to break that down for you all, a fit school is one where you feel like you have, I think, a good chance of being admitted and recruited. A reach school may be one that's a little bit more competitive. May it be academically more competitive or athletically more competitive, but still a school that you'd love to attend. And then a safety school is one where you feel confident about your chances of, admission and athletic recruitment. So from your favorites list, you can categorize them this way, and it really does help you strategically plan your overall recruiting efforts as you're going through. Another way you can make your target list even more useful is that you can also rank your schools in order of preference. So maybe your dream school is at the top, followed by your second choice, and so on. This ranking allows you, again, to prioritize the communication and recruiting activities with each one of these schools. So you can see on the slide here, we're just moving them up and down on that list. Really easy to do. And then again, you can also sort your list by rank, which is default. It goes to that automatically. You can also sort it by category. So that's again, fit, reach, or safety. And you can also filter it by last contact. So that makes it really easy to see which schools you may need to follow up with, who you haven't maybe contacted in a while, to ensure that none of these schools on your list kind of fall through that communication crack. So pretty cool, different ways that you can organize your favorites list when you're in there. Okay, home stretch here. So let's talk about analyzing where you stand with your schools on your list. Really important. So you've built your target list, you've categorized your schools as either fit, reach, and safety, but the work doesn't stop there. Now it's time to analyze your list and make sure that it's truly reflective of your goals and your abilities. For me, I can't stress enough to you all to make sure as you go through your list of schools, make sure you really are being honest when you're categorizing them as either a fit, reach, or safety school. To help make sure that you're being honest with this process, do your homework from that school, program page, and make sure they're a good academic and athletic fit. So that's going to be really important. Another thing to think about when you're analyzing your list is to think about the popularity of the school or program. So for instance, some of you out there may be interested in a lot of top Division 1, 2, or 3 schools. Some things to consider about that then are it may take 4 or 5 emails to get that college coach's attention because they're so popular. Some of these top programs, especially during the summer, are receiving hundreds of emails a day from, recruits who are interested in their program. So I think, something to consider when you're building out your list is how the popularity of a school can make it go from maybe a potential fit school for you to a reach school just because of the sheer amount of athletes who are wanting to go there. I think that's important to consider. And then the next thing to consider when analyzing your list is the importance of reassessing and rebuilding your list as you go through the recruitment process. So what I mean by that is your likes and your dislikes in the categories that we talked about before are going to change throughout this recruiting process. A school that starts out high on your list in the beginning may not be there by your senior year or your junior year at the end. You can take schools off your list. You can add them back on. This recruiting process and your list of schools is very fluid. So, don't be afraid to readjust them, rebuild them. And for sure, as you guys start out in this process, make sure you're casting a wide net. Best practice, we say, is for you guys to start with anywhere between 20 and 30 schools in the beginning, and make sure that you have a good amount of reach, fit, and safety schools, both academically and athletically, when you're building out that list. And then another great way to analyze your list is to enlist the help of your athletic and academic advocates to help with the categorization of your fit, reach, and safety schools. We talked about this before, but advocates like your coaches, trainers, teachers, guidance counselors, people who know you best. They'll be able to help you categorize these schools. And then also, as you refine your list, you definitely want to make sure you keep these advocates in the loop because they can continue to provide support and offer advice as you navigate the complexities of this recruiting process. So, they're on your team. Keep them informed. They're going to be really useful as you go through this process. Ultimately, by carefully analyzing your target list and being honest with yourself and your abilities, and your goals, I think, you'll definitely be well on your way to finding schools that are a great fit for you, and schools that you should be putting on your list. Okay, finally, let's talk about another powerful way you can track your progress to see exactly where you stand with each program on your favorites list. So again, SportsRecruits makes this really easy. From your favorites list, with any one of the programs that you've put on, you'll be able to see that easily with our milestone and activity overview feature. So for each school on your list, you'll see a small arrow at the bottom right of that program or school's name. If you click that, it's going to reveal your milestones and activity overview with that specific school on your list. So the activity overview shows you your communication history that you have had with that program or not had, but it'll show you all of that there. So here you can see how many messages you sent, how many messages you've received, how many profile views you've gotten, all in one place. And I think it's such a great way for you guys to all stay on top of your communication with that program. Next, you'll also, when you hit that little down caret, you'll be able to see the milestone section on this page as well. So the milestone section simplifies the recruiting process into 5 key steps. And I think also, the best part, some of these milestones are automatically tracked for you right from the SportsRecruit platform. So the introduce myself circle is going to automatically get checked off simply when you send an email to a particular program from the platform. Similarly, when you receive a profile view from a coach at that school, that milestone is also going to be automatically checked off. So it's pretty cool. The remaining milestones like visit, offer, commit are all ones that you can manually check off when they happen for you. But again, this is just, another way that you can visualize the progress that you're having with a particular school and keep track of, where you're at with them. So it's another really great feature on the platform. If you are a club user, you guys actually have an extra advantage in this section as well. You guys can request help from your club staff directly in this section. So if you click that, it's going to send a message to your club coach letting them know that you'd like the club staff to reach out to that specific program on your behalf. So another cool little feature that you guys have available to you. And I think, the milestone feature is just, again, fantastic for staying organized. It breaks down the recruiting process into manageable steps. I think it provides a clear visual representation of the progress that you have with that school. And it's just, again, another great tool in SportsRecruits that helps you guys, navigate the recruiting journey successfully. So as you can see, what we talked about tonight, especially in this last section, SportsRecruits offers such a great comprehensive suite of tools to help you build, analyze, and manage your target list. So from the school search to the milestone and activity tracking, we definitely have you covered. And definitely is a place where you can, have it be your central hub of all of your recruiting that's going on. Okay, so we have a couple minutes left here for some Q&A. If you do have some questions, drop them in and I will get to them as quickly as I can and as many as I can. I also want to drop in, let me see if I can pull this up here. See if I can get a Q&A section. Let me see here, it's not pulling up for me. Sorry about this, guys. If you do have questions, drop them in. I'm going to see if for some reason, I can't view them right now. Here we are. Q&A. Perfect. Oh, I'm going to see if I can drop this in too, but this is the link to our recruiting guidance packages. If you are interested, if you are a free user and you are interested in maybe learning more about the packages that we have available, you can click on that link, fill that out, and someone from our recruiting guidance team will be able to follow up with you the next day just to walk you through some of the options that you have. Okay, so to go back, one of the questions that were asked tonight, were all the items you reviewed on the free version or the paid version? That's a great question. So the one item that if you are a free user, you wouldn't necessarily be able to see is the roster needs filter if you have a free version. On the actual school pages, if you click into them, you will be able to see any needs that that particular program has put in, but you won't be able to filter for it if you have a free version. The other aspect that you might not be able, or you won't be able to utilize on the platform is sending messages through our messaging system if you have a free account. those are the two items that I talked about tonight that you wouldn't be able to utilize with a free version. Great question. Let's see what other questions we have here. If you have any others, put those guys in there. I think another question that we get asked quite a bit is, how many messages, should you be sending to college coaches? Like I said, depending on the popularity of a school, it may take 4 or 5 emails to that particular school. But a good rule of thumb is anytime that you have new information that you want to provide the schools that are on your favorites list, definitely reach out to them and give them that new information, whether it was I was selected for all state, or I have a upcoming tournament, here's my schedule. All great information to be able to continue to reach out to the programs that are on your favorites list as you build them out. Let's see if there's any more coming in. How many schools are using this system? That's a great question. So every college coach in the country has access to the SportsRecruits platform. We do not make them pay to utilize it. So, if you are sending messages through the messaging system, they're able to see any of those messages. They're able to get into the platform as easily as possible. So when you look in the school search, depending on the sport that you're in, or, if you are a lacrosse player, and you're in that tool, you may see that, on the women's lacrosse side, there's close to probably 1,600 schools there. All 1,600 schools have access to the platform. It's a great question. How soon should an athlete start the process? It's a great question. I think there are a lot of factors that go into it, for sure. Lean on your athletic advocates to, really help you narrow down that answer. But I would say, it's not uncommon for, freshmen to start building out their target list of schools freshman year, and to really start, emailing coaches by the end of their freshman year. It's never too early to start at least building out your schools. The school search tool is fantastic for that, because you can, uncover a ton of different schools based off of some of the things that are important to you as a freshman. So I don't think that there's ever, I don't think it's ever too early to start, but again, definitely lean on your academic and athletic advocates to really help, guide you in the process. One more question. Let's see here. Are you connected to HBCUs also? We have every college coach in the country and program in the country in the platform. So right now there is not a specific way that you can filter for HBCUs, but you can also put in all the additional filters that are important to you, and that's great feedback that I can definitely take back to our team. Well, we're about 10 minutes over. I appreciate you guys hanging with me as we went through building your list of schools. Again, this webinar is recorded. You will receive a copy of it tomorrow. Please take a look too at our webinar registration pages for any of our upcoming webinars, and hopefully you found this to be really informative, and hopefully we see you on more of our webinars in the future. Take care, guys.